In a world plagued by reboots, haunted by sequels, dominated by the same old shit, get ready for an original podcast that will gouge out your eyeballs and skull fuck you. Starring Ginger Josh, Adam the Hair, and introducing the immortal Frank. Hold on to your butts. It's the Game Rage Movies TV Podcast.
That is correct. We are back with another wonderful episode, or maybe I should say pretty all right episode of the Game Rage Movies and TV Podcast. I'm Josh, here today with Adam.
Howdy.
And today we're going to be talking about the old X-Men's 97, episodes 3 and 4. Now, before we get into it, I would just like to say, anyone who is listening that doesn't know, if you like us talking about movies and TV, and you like shit, one of 14 other topics that we have podcasts about, you'll probably enjoy that as well. If you like music, who doesn't like music, Adam? I don't know if I've met a single person that says that they don't like any kind of music whatsoever. But if you like music, you can go to listen to All Gas, No Trash. Hell, we're talking about an animated show. It's basically American anime, so you gotta fucking probably like anime. If you're listening to this, you can go listen to the Anime Syndicate, which is all about anime. The Buttfuck Nowhere Show, which is about a multitude of topics and random buttfuckery. Central and Intelligence Podcast, which is the geopolitics and current events. We have the new Game Rage Magazine sports podcast, Chirping from the Pine, just premiered this week. 5-episode drop for your listening pleasure. You can hear me talk all the stories and all the things about sports related items, me and Adam. Also, we have the Game Rage Wrestling Podcast, which, hell, if you love wrestling, you're going to love that podcast. Also, we have Panel to Panel about comics and Team Killing Glitchtards, the video game one, and the greatest podcast on our network without censor, the Game Rage Interview Podcast. It's amazing and really some banger ass episodes on there. You should go check it out. Additionally, just for so you know, coming up here on May 15th, we have the Game Rage record label signed recording artist Millennial Frog dropping not one, not two, but 3 brand new albums: Poverty of Content, The Gentleman Known as Millennial Frog, and 30-Second Master. Excellent fucking music. I've heard them. I've had a sneak peek. I've heard them. And, you know, I have to say Millennial Frog is onto something with this. And you guys are going to love it. So go check it out. You can stream it wherever music is streamed. They're free because, fuck, we're just that good of people, all right, over here at Game Rage Magazine. So you can listen to it on Apple Music, Spotify, any of those things. Have at it. Also, the podcasts are available at GameRageMagazine.com and also wherever podcasts are sold. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, whatever the hell you name it. Anyways, all right, now that the self-ball washing is out of the way, did you have anything to add about self-ball washing at all, by any chance?
No, I was thinking about some Simpsons reference about, because you were like, if you enjoy X, Y, or Z, and it makes me think of this episode where Uncle Mo, or rather Mo, the barkeep, Mo's Tavern, he turns his restaurant into a TGI, what was it, TGI Fridays type of things, but he calls it Uncle Mo's Feed Bag. His commercials, he's got all this crazy crap on the walls, like the way TGIF Fridays had. He's like, if you like good food and a bunch of crazy crap on the walls, it kind of gave off the same energy with the podcast. If you love podcasts and a bunch of crazy crap on the walls.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad I can be in such company as Uncle Mo from The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Anyway, so down to business for today. The X-Men 97.
Mm-hmm.
Streaming only on Disney Plus. Well, episodes 3 and 4. Just as a preview, I did enjoy episode 3. I thought it was good. A lot of fucking information came out. Pretty powerful episode. Episode 4, not so much. Almost a filler episode, as they would say in the anime universe. And seemed just unnecessary.
I will withhold my opinion until we actually get to it, so that way people are just, all right, they said it sucked, I'm gonna go home.
Oh, that's true. You don't know what Adam thinks. So anyways, all right. Episode 3, titled Fire Made Flesh. And man, there were some fucking drops in this episode in terms of reveals. We got the major information, because obviously at the end of the last episode, we had a duplicate Jean Grey. Oh, fuck yeah, I think I got him. Fuck yeah, fuck you, Mosquito. Or whatever the hell that was. Dead. Mosquito, dead at 35 hours old. Basically, we had the secondary, as we find out, the clone of Jean Grey roll up and appear at the house. The old. Wait, what's the name of it? Is it the
Charles Xavier School for the Gifted?
School for the Gifted. I thought there was like a name that they had for it, other than that, like a shorter name, like I don't know, whatever. Anyways, at the School for the Gifted, she shows
Academy.
up. There you go. Yeah, the Academy. She shows up at the Academy. Fucking what's his name? Morph is like at the door, catches her, and he's like, what the fuck, guy? And so basically, this episode, we get to them. Beast is in the lab. He's got his lab coat on and his glasses, and he's doing some work. He's getting down to business.
Yeah.
And,
sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
So he basically is doing the math. And as we're getting to this, because this wasn't the direct thing that happened right at the beginning of the episode, wasn't there? I mean, you just watched it. I watched it like a week ago, I reran it again earlier. But
all right, I'll go through the chronological things that I wrote down. So Jean has a clone,
right?
And we don't know which one it is. And Beast is like, let me get cracking on this, and we'll find out. We'll get to the
bottom.
Get to the bottom of it. And the Jean that we've known from last two episodes is completely distraught that Cyclops, Scott Summers, is questioning whether his wife is in fact his wife after the fact they just had a fucking baby. And Jean Grey is fucking livid because this is somebody that she's known, somebody that she's known for since the entirety of, joining the Academy.
Right.
And Beast, I think, was was this episode 4 or
no? This was episode 3.
No, I was trying to remember if because I can't remember if the episode started off with Beast working on Bishop's time bands, because he said, "Oh, they're almost done." But
shit, I think that happens.
Was that episode 4?
No, I think that happens at the end of this episode.
Well, anyways, I can't remember.
Yeah, I think it happens at the end of this episode.
I'll maybe I'll find it in my notes. But anyways, so Beast ends up doing the research for both these genes, one of them being fake and one of them being real. And it turns out, as a result of Beast's testings, that he finds out the one that was comatose or not feeling so well.
Well, the one that showed up.
Well, the one that showed up, was older than the one that Cyclops knew. Right. So there was some kind of bamboozling that, or the old switcheroo was pulled.
Right. Essentially saying that the Jean Grey that we've seen since episode 1 is the clone, and this lady who shows up at the end of episode 2 is the real Jean Grey.
And I just want to add, I do not like clone arcs when it comes to comic books or literally anything. I feel like that's a crutch that's jumping the shark for me to do that type of story. And very rarely does it amount to something that's good. I just don't like that fucking plot device, or it just doesn't work for me.
So would you think, because obviously we're going to get to this whole, it's explained in this episode basically what happened.
Yes.
But do you think that because it's Mr. Sinister doing this, and he is such a vile villain, and the whole long con that he was playing was he just wanted to get that nut from fucking Cyclops and her to make some kid so he could steal it and he could fucking make a clone army or whatever, or make the new generation of mutants. Do you think that still lends to it, that the clone arc or the clone piece to that is still a crutch?
I think in this particular case, for this particular episode, and I think perhaps even in the comics, I think this was entirely justified because of the way that it was valid.
Yeah. Okay.
It felt legitimate. So I'm not shitting on the way the X-Men have done it, but when it comes to other things, yeah, I kind of don't like it. But for this episode, there were some moments with gravitas, specifically with the fake Jean that we came to discover, which comes to be revealed that her name is Madeline Pryor, or rather, she chooses the identity to be Madeline Pryor, or the moniker also known as Goblin Queen,
yeah.
right? And she eventually joins the Hellfire Club, which has Sebastian Shaw or whatever. But I don't know if that's going to be something that occurs down the road, but you never know. It seemed like I've been getting a bit of ahead of myself by saying that the two Jeans end up breaking off or making peace with each other and having an amicable parting, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But we'll work our way up to that. So Mr. Sinister contacts fake Jean, or Madeline Pryor, Goblin Queen, before she even turns into that, and says, "Answers, you come find me and we'll talk and we'll figure this thing out, because this affects Nathan Summers, who is actually going to become Cable down the road." Oh no, it is in this thing. Okay, so I did write it. So Bishop acknowledges that Beast is almost complete with doing his research with the time bands for Bishop to go back to his timeline, because he is a displaced person from the future. And it's revealed that in the conversation between Sinister and fake Jean, or Madeline Pryor, that she is in fact a clone, and also that Nathan is also the product of Mr. Sinister with the intent of creating like the perfect mutant. It just so happens to be that he did the research to find out that both their DNAs will create I don't know if you would want to call him a mutant messiah, but that's what he was working towards. And we'll get to how that ends up getting fucked up. For a guy that is technically Sinister, I think he was trying to create a messianic figure, but
yeah, for the mutants to have like a
possibly
mutant Jesus. I don't know.
Who the fuck
That's
knows?
kind of what it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean,
but let's see. So at that point that she's revealed to be the fake clone, but she has all these memories, so she's very conflicted, because it's like, well, I have all these memories, so how is it that I'm the fake one? And that's, I think the theme of the episode is, what is the persona of somebody, or what is the identity? Because the theme of memories came into play for the episode itself. And yeah, it was just a mind fuck of an episode. It was very cool. But so then fake Jean gets all worked up, and as a result of Mr. Sinister revealing all this fucking info, she turns, I don't even know how this is logically possible, but she basically transforms into a goth mommy with her outfit. It's like, how the fuck did that even manifest? Where did she get the black garbs? And how the fuck did that even...
I think that they wanted to capture the goth mommy simps out there for this, and they were like, oh, here's the perfect way to shoehorn that in. Let's let her, when she figures this out, she'll turn into the goth mommy extraordinaire.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the character has been like that before, so it's not just a new thing. But and actually, the character doesn't have her hair down. She has it in an old librarian bun that I hate. But anyways, so then we get moved over to Gambit. I think Wolverine and Morph heading to the Danger Room, and they're finding out the schedule, who's going to go in there to prepare for possibly getting into a skirmish with Mr. Sinister. So then the subplot is further developed with Gambit about his suspicions with Magneto and Rogue. And it is noted that on the schedule that Magneto and Rogue are going to be paired up pretty frequently.
Yeah, it's like only them. It's like them only with each other, essentially. And it's crazy too when right after this is when the whole shit starts to unravel, when she becomes the Goblin Queen and she uses her powers essentially to make everyone's worst fears come true. And for Gambit, it's literally that he goes in and sees them like embrace Magneto and basically embracing, and like they either just got done fucking or they're just about to start fucking, and he's like, oh no, Gambit don't like this, oh no, and he's like losing his mind, and then everyone else is like, all their worst fears are coming true, and everything's fucking attacking them, and I think somebody says something about, I forget who says it, but they say like, oh man, Mr. Sinister, that son of a bitch, like he's doing this. And then I think it's Beast who says, no, this is too advanced for Sinister. This is too powerful. It's the fake gene or whatever.
Yeah. And he also makes a comment about Nathan as well, because that was, as crazy as it sounds, Beast comes to the conclusion that Nathan is a product of Mr. Sinister because he left a signature within his DNA, which was fucking crazy to think about.
Yeah, and this was before Mr. Sinister. This was right before it shows him contacting Madeline Pryor.
Yeah.
And he literally says, there's just every scientist is just like an artist, and they have their signature on their work. And this one I can only describe as Sinister.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, that was cool. Like just the way he did that.
Yeah. So then we could just talk about the hallucinations that everybody was experiencing. Gambit having his worst fear come to life, which is Rogue and Magneto having an affair. And then cool little like nod to the comic books. It's Savage Land Rogue with like the torn garments and shit.
Yeah.
And Magneto's naked. Sinister tortures Morph because he's a product of Mr. Sinister as well. Dude, you know what? Like this whole series, it's fucking with my mind because I remember all these characters being introduced in the later seasons and stuff. And if I don't know if we're actually retreading things that have already been covered in the X-Men series, the original one. So I don't know if we're getting new shit, but maybe we will be in the future. I'm not sure, dude. It feels like we're retreading things that have already been done in the previous series, but I would have to watch it. That's the problem. I'm having my own Madeline Pryor experience where my memories are being fucked with because it's been a while since I've seen the original.
Are these my memories or the memories of someone else?
And then they show different people getting fucked with. Jubilee and Roboito.
Oh yeah,
having the ring moment where this weird fucking lady comes out of the television who turns out to be Roboito's mom, and she says, oh, I can't have a freak for a son. And then Bishop is haunted by his comrade from the future and says, we need you here, or whatever bullshit she says. Cyclops probably got the worst of it because there was like this weird demented version of, it had this weird grin and big eyes. For a 4-year-old, that'd probably be really fucking scary, but it was basically saying that Cyclops, or this weird twisted version of Xavier, was saying that Cyclops has let him down and he's a failure as a leader and a failure as a paternal figure for the X-Men themselves, and just hitting him where it hurts.
Yeah.
And then eventually they descent in some kind of, I don't know, like Cenozoic hell. Because there's demons or
and like dinosaurs and shit.
Yeah. And then eventually this satanic fucking sentinel comes out of the lava and shit. And then fake, or rather real Jean Grey makes the save by breaking this reality, or breaking this simulation. And real Jean makes the save. Fake Jean declares herself to be the Goblin Queen. And Morph gives the lore on Sinister that he's a figure from the 1800s, and he experimented on mutants to give himself powers, and he's just a sick son of a bitch. Why, Mr. Sinister? Why, you son of a bitch? Why?
You're gonna burn in hell, Mr. Sinister. God damn
it to hell. So then now that fucking Madeline Pryor is completely unhinged because they're going to be protecting her, or rather Sinister has acquired the baby and he's going to do more experiments in order to make him invulnerable. He's going to give him all these diseases so that he can be invincible, basically.
Yeah.
And Madeline Pryor has basically, well, she has been programmed before, but she was basically like a sleeper cell.
Yeah.
And she got her shit turned on, and now she's with Mr. Sinister. And Magneto's like, all right, let's get down to business. We need to get down to brass tacks. We need to put a surgical strike team together. So it's shit, I actually lost track of who it was. So it's Magneto and Cyclops, Morph, and who else was it? There was one extra person, wasn't there? Was it Gambit?
Yeah, I think it was, because they tell Rogue, Wolverine, and one other person to stay behind and take care of the real Jean Grey who's knocked out.
Right. And
I think it's Beast stays behind too.
Yeah, well, he's cooking in the lab.
Well,
so,
yeah.
So then there's this battle that ensues between the strike team, Magneto and all that, and then back at home, good old boy Wolvie, being the simp, knowing that he's always longed for Jean Grey, is tending to her mental breakdown, and they're having kind of a tender moment, and it kind of sucks because it doesn't really ultimately mean anything, because as it would have it, if Jean Grey, I think, mind reads Wolverine, and she says, "Oh, I really mean that much to you," and that moment is broken by Cyclops calling for help.
Yeah.
And then the battle ensues between so we go back to the battle at the church, or wherever the fuck Mr. Sinister's, his humble abode.
Yeah.
And Madeline Pryor is just fucking, wrecking face. She's fucking everybody up.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Morph transforms into Magic, which is Colossus's sister. And that was cool to see. I thought I hated Morph being the substitute character for, you can put in literally anybody, like any prior X-Men that hasn't been on the series, and just have him be like the placeholder for that character to appear without actually having to have the character. That was interesting. And then as Cyclops calls over to Jean Grey, or she reads into his mind, they have a mental battle. Jean Grey and fucking Madeline Pryor square off.
Yeah. And yeah, prior to that, Madeline Pryor was whooping that ass of everybody. And so Jean Grey says, like, oh, I can do this with my mind. All right, I don't need to be there physically. So she goes and she like projects herself there, and she just is like stopping this from happening. Madeline Pryor's throwing everything at her, and she's just like dissipating it. And she's like, bitch, I am the Phoenix, or I was the Phoenix, and blah, blah, blah. And then she goes into her mind, and she's showing her all this shit to try to calm her down. And so they're going through her past memories. And then she's like, are these my memories, or are these yours? Or whose are whose? Am I you? Are you me? Like, who's this? I don't know. And so then they have this little flashback when she gets taken from, given to Xavier by her parents, because they're like, oh yeah, we can't handle this nonsense. And it shows the flashback of her childhood best friend who like gonna get hit by the car or whatever. It shows that, and then that kind of like brings Madeline Pryor like out of it, and then she kind of regains control over herself. And then obviously the ass whooping stops because she was the main one whooping that ass. Sinister realizes, well, jig is up, fellas. I got to get the fuck out of here. So he's like, well, time to craft my will and move on.
Yeah.
So no good. Oh no. So he beats feet. He gets out of there, and they get the baby Nathan, and he's got all this weird fucking shit going on. Looks like he just came out of the Matrix with fucking all these little green lines and shit all over him. And they take him to the lab, and Beast is like, oh yeah, man, this kid's fucked up, son. We ain't got nothing. It might take years to fix this. And so he says, but yes, incidentally, I have actually just finished fixing Bishop's fucking time watch, or whatever the hell it's called. So I'm sure maybe he would know. And then Bishop's like, he looks at the time watch and he grabs it and then he puts it on. He goes, yeah, I know a guy in the future that would be really good at this. And then he's like, yeah, let me take that baby to the future. So he takes basically he's going to take the baby to the future and fucking handle the business to help him live. And Cyclops is losing his mind. He's like, I'm not going to be like my dad, man. I'm not going to abandon my kid, man. You can't take my dad. And then, basically he takes the baby and goes. And it's like, all right, sorry. And then that's when Madeline Pryor's whatever around, and that's when she's like, oh, I'm leaving. I'm taking this name. This is who I am now. You guys can all get fucked. Here's the middle fingers, and I'm leaving. And then that was kind of how that portion ended. But the episode doesn't actually end there. Did you have any more about that specific shit?
Yeah, just the thing. So as that conflict comes to an end between Mr. Sinister, well, he just kind of dips out. He's like, hey, nice seeing you, fellas. Yeah. I guess I'll be showing myself out. It turns out that he was working on making Nathan Summers or Cable invulnerable to pretty much anything. And as he was baking him in the fucking baby stew or whatever the fucking the green tube with the goo and shit, that's when he was interrupted and he didn't get to finish his experiment. Therefore, Nathan Summers now has the techno-organic virus, which is something that comes into play later because this shit, he could keep it at bay. Like it eventually consumes him when he gets older. But he basically has cancer. And Beast basically tells him this shit is too fucking strong. I don't know. I can't even begin to fathom what the solution would be. But if there's any chance that this kid's going to survive, it's going to be giving it. I think it's fake Jean's idea to give the baby to Bishop. So if it has any chance of surviving, it's going to be with Bishop in the future because maybe by then they'll have a solution for that. And Cyclops is just livid about that because he's, being abandoned child himself, that he couldn't even fathom doing that to his own kid. And it's a really weird dynamic because here we have a person that's not even a real person who just had a kid and is now going to be separated from her fucking child. And she doesn't even know who the fuck she is. That is one of the most fucked situations. So justifiably, she's angry as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
So this is why this is a good clone story. This is good. A clone story done well.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree. I thought it was fucking pretty cool shit. And so at the end of that, afterwards, to cap off the episode, it shows Storm sitting in some fucking bar in the middle of nowhere, presumably, and she's just like basically sulking and drinking her fucking sorrows away. And a guy named Forge comes up and he basically says like, I think I have the answers to this. And that's kind of where it ends. And it's just like, all right, cool. Now we get into the next episode, which is technically 2 half episodes, I guess, which also this didn't really make sense to me either. Why split this into 2, or why make it take up 1 episode? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this first part didn't really need to happen, this Motendo episode.
I hated it. I hated it. Utterly disdained.
I didn't like it, but there was one cool thing about that episode. Because, okay, not that this was the cool thing, but it was kind of bullshit that we just had this whole clone reveal and you literally do it to me in a less impactful way for the same exact thing in the next episode with a minor character. Because that was the reveal of this episode, was that, oh, there was this clone of her, this digital clone of her. Look at me. I'm also a clone, guys. Hey. Fireworks. Like, get the fuck out of here with this. Like, that was really unnecessary. Filler episode to a degree, or to the full maximum. And it didn't push the story any further. Yes, it pushed the Roboito and fucking Jubilee story, but we didn't need our own little thing. They didn't need to go on their own side adventure to have that happen.
Fuck no, they did not. I barely find their relationship all that interesting, and all I need to see is every now and then that You check up on them to see if they're going to kiss or not. That's as much as I need to know. So we basically got a 20-minute cock tease for them to fucking kiss.
Yeah, they could have just did this later. Especially, I don't know, it just pisses me off. But the one cool thing that they actually had in this episode was when they were in the game actually doing it, it was in the style and of some of the same scenes that were in the original X-Men video game.
Yeah, the beat 'em up.
Yeah, like that was fucking, that was a cool little nod. And that really, when I saw that, I was like, oh, cool, that's pretty sweet. And that didn't make the episode worth it for happening, but it was a cool thing to see at least. Hey, I don't think they needed to make it its own thing. But basically the synopsis of the episode is somehow, because it's Jubilee's 18th birthday, somehow some fucking alien dickhead called Mojo gets a new system into a gaming system into her room. What a fucking lax security policy they have at this academy, that aliens can just sneak in and put fucking video game consoles in there uncontested. So they're playing it. They get sucked into the thing, and he's just basically like, oh yeah, I get fed off of audience engagement. So he's like super skinny, and as they're going in and whooping ass, he's like just like, he just gets huge because he's like eating all this audience engagement. And yes, there's some like, what is it, cyberpunk-esque character comes, like this armored cyberpunk character comes and like saves them a couple of times, and then finally they meet up and she's like pulls off her head and she's like, she does the same exact thing, like this repeating maneuver of hers, and they say the same shit and she's like, wait, what? She pulls off her helmet. It's like, oh hey, I'm you and you're me. Hey, just like we just saw last episode. Oh hey, it's the same shit but less interesting. And fell flat. I was just like, oh, whoop-de fucking do. Yeah, I kind of saw that coming, like, you idiots. Like, why would you do this two episodes in a row? But nonetheless, she tells her, oh, this guy made this thing, and I'm the last surviving clone. I'm old Jubilee digital version, basically. So she helps them escape. They get out, and that's when they fucking go back and they fucking make out. And you get that stupid little payoff after this 15 minutes of nonsense, basically.
Man, you blew over a lot of shit, but
well, I mean, I just given the basis of the episode here. I didn't know if you wanted to get deep into it, but let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, because not to say that it warrants this, but I at least wanted to fill some time to, go
ahead. Let's hear it.
To air out the recap for this episode, because while I didn't like it, I still feel like it's owed a due for explaining what for other further things that happen.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, so then at the beginning of the episode, Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit are fucking at the same table, which is fucking weird as fuck. And Magneto made coffee for Rogue, and he says 3 sugars or 3 milks or some bullshit. And then Gambit came in with a nice little fucking throwing shade. He says, cappuccino if you're taking orders. Magneto says, no, luckily I'm giving them. Ultimate baller fucking move.
Before you continue, though, there was one thing I forgot to mention about the previous episode. When Gambit comes out of like the hell fucking dream or whatever, and Rogue's like, oh, are you okay or whatever? And he's like, oh, it okay now. Gambit okay, mon cher. Gambit okay. Like, it was just fucking hilarious the way he said it. Like,
yeah, so the bulk of the episode is that Jubilee is turning 18 and she's going to be coming of age, and that is the theme of the episode, is that there's a life to be lived, and she can't be caught up in living in a cycle, which is what Mojo was trying to do. Is like, oh, you can live out your best days all the time here. You can stay young forever or whatever. And future Jubilee is saying, no, don't do that, because this is what you can become. And it's a fully realized version of herself, with obviously using her powers to the best of her ability and such. So they get trapped in this digital world, and I mean, yeah, this fucking random video game console comes out, and as if it weren't suspicious enough that it started with Motendo, because they've encountered Mojo before. If this is continuation of the previous X-Men series, but yeah, not my favorite fucking episode. I will repeat that probably throughout this whole monologue or whatever. I did find it cool that once they entered the world, there's this, I think it's Uncanny X-Men number 141, where they have, like the wanted posters.
Oh, okay.
So it's the X-Men Days of Futures Past storyline. And the poster, when they enter this world, there's a giant poster of mutants that are deceased, missing, or whatever, and it's a nod to the to the issue.
That's cool.
Jubilee and Roboito fight off the Friends of Humanity to start off, and eventually they meet Mojo, who introduces him or herself and says that,
I believe the proper term is themselves.
I don't even know what the fuck it is, but basically telling them, and Mojo as a character is supposed to be a parody of executive producers and shit, because they want to control everything. Or it was supposed to be an FU to fucking people that supervise like television or even writing or stuff like that. And there's a cool nod to as you were talking about the nod to the beat 'em up games, because there is a scene, and it's just a quick flash, but I can't remember what game it was for, but Magneto having his hands over the world was an intro for one of the fucking games. And that was a nod to the fucking video game, which was really cool. So then, Jubilee fights Magneto once as a boss character, and then Magneto is brought in again with I guess he's given extra powers or not extra powers, but more of a competition to Jubilee, and the future Jubilee figure comes into play, and she is altering the game, and Mojo is getting visibly pissed off and is telling Spiral to fix this shit, because she's got multiple hands that she can do multiple things at once. And I mean, God damn it, this episode I just didn't like it, so I'll just get to the main points. Future Jubilee meets Jubilee and tells her this is what your potential is, but if you want to stay behind and live out the same days all over again, I mean, go ahead, but this is what you can become. So then they do a combined attack, and they fucking defeat Mojo, and Roboito and Jubilee kiss, and then we get to the Storm and Forge segment, where they have dinner and they're kicking it at Forge's house, and he's giving the lore of who he is and what his power is. And he's basically super intelligent, and he's an inventor, and he can put things rather quickly together. And he eventually reveals to Storm that the reason that he came in contact with her is because he's kind of responsible for why she lost her powers in the first place. Because Forge, unfortunately, had to work with the Department of Defense he was contracted by the Department of Defense to create weapons to neutralize mutants in order for him to get what he wanted. And he basically fucked over all mutants in order to benefit himself, but also progressing the mutant species as well. Like it was good and bad. He made a deal with the devil and he paid for it, and now Storm is the recipient, the one that got dealt the bad hand, and Storm is not fucking having it. She says, "You bastard, you damned our whole fucking species, and you're trying to have a redemption arc, and I don't even know if our relationship is real." And that's when he confesses that he loves Storm, and she's like, "Nah, fuck that. You can suck my ass." And
you suck my butthole, good sir.
So then storms off, no pun intended, on a horse that she was horseback riding in a previous segment.
Would you say that she rode off on a horse with no name?
A horse with no name, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So then some crazy shit happens, because in the segment where they first were horseback riding and have a good old time, and they're trying to test out whether Storm's abilities are even lingering, this owl passes by, and I don't know, we don't really know what to make of the owl. So then at some point they test Storm's abilities, because Forge thinks he has the answers of how to undo this whole bullshit, and it doesn't work. And then Storm fucking leaves, and she's brought back to the fucking Forge's house, because this fucking owl turns into a giant motherfucking bigger version of itself.
Yeah.
And declares itself as the adversary, which is a villain that is of the X-Men universe. So I don't know what's going to come of that. We'll we'll see what happens with that. But I hated the episode, and I thought, yes, the more interesting segment was the Storm and Forge segment because, yeah, I mean, it is tragic that Storm ends up losing her abilities and shit, and yeah, that was just it's been a heart-wrenching segment or rather subplot for the X-Men series.
Yeah, and to me this is the most compelling subplot that exists. That's not. I mean, I feel like the main storyline is obviously this whole thing with the two Jeans and the kid and all that, but this Storm subplot is the best of the subplots that are currently going on right now. So I'm interested to see where that ends up and where that goes. I do know that because the next episode, in episode 5, a lot of shit happens. And it's like a lot of crazy shit that happens.
So
I've seen up until episode 5. That's after that. So the next episode we're going to do is going to be episodes 5 and 6. Mm-hmm. So it will be a first watch for me on fucking both of those. Or I'm going to rewatch 5 again because it's been like, now at this point, it's been probably like a month since I've seen episode 5.
Okay.
So I'm going to rewatch 5 and then I'm going to watch 6 again. So that way we can obviously do, or not again, but I'll watch 6 for the first time. So that way we can do 5 and 6 at the same go around. But yeah, overall, I thought episode 3 was a great episode. It really hit hard. It revealed a lot of shit. It was very fast paced. It was almost as if they stepped on the gas and didn't let up because there was just plot point after plot point after plot point getting revealed and hit and this and that. And, they did it in like under 30 minutes. I think the episode was like just a little under 30 minutes long or whatever. And so it's crazy that they were able to fit all that in that short amount of time.
Yeah.
And again, I do think that they fucked up here. Just like in wrestling, when you step on the gas storyline wise, you just keep it going. So having this episode come out, and another thing that's interesting is these episodes only come out once a week, right? So during this, when it came out, there was a whole 2-week gap where we basically had this filler episode that was kind of pointless. And I don't know if it makes the next episode more impactful because nothing happened in the last episode. So now it left you kind of wanting for more. But I guess we'll just have to see when we do the review of 5 and 6. But
we'll see. But it just felt like it killed the momentum of the series. It just put a dead stop of great pacing up until this point, with great subplots, a large overarching narrative going on, and this one was it just undercut it, and I just number 4 really fucking killed it. 3 was amazing, and I mean we're probably not going to do reviews for the episodes themselves. I'd rather just save the actual review for down the line when we actually finish the first season. But yeah, 4 felt like a drag without sugarcoating it or anything like that. So but yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah. And I think we'll give the scores at the end when we do episodes 9 and 10. After we review 10, that'll be the final segment of this X-Men first season. Will be us giving the whole overarching series a score. Mm-hmm. And I was curious to know about, because you're obviously more well versed in the X-Men in terms of the comic books than I am.
I'm gonna be honest, dude. At this point, I've been far enough away from them that I don't know if I've retained meaningful information. So depending on what you ask, I don't know if I'm going to give you a fair answer.
Maybe, but the question I was going to ask was in regard to the comics. Can you ever remember a time where they had this momentum of going on a story and then they just put some bullshit for no reason in the middle and then it just fucking kind of all killed it? Like you're just like, fuck, what the hell was this about? Like a filler issue, maybe? I don't know, or a filler story arc? I don't know.
Are you talking about in any comic book?
Yeah, just, I mean, maybe not specifically X-Men, but anything. Can you remember a time where they've done this in comics proper? Because maybe that could be an example as to why they chose to do this on screen, is like, oh, there was a precedent set before where this has happened and maybe it worked well for them. I don't know. And in the comic.
Yeah, I do think there was something like that with Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Batman back in the mid mid 2010s, maybe mid to late 2010s, when they were getting towards the end of their run. Batman died, but he was just unaware of his identity. So he was living a life as X person.
Oh, okay.
So then there was a void for Batman, and Jim Gordon ended up becoming the Batman of Gotham. And I didn't really care for that. It just felt weird.
Yeah.
And I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either. And it just killed what was going on. But then again, the beginning of Jim Gordon being Batman was at the climax of Joker and Batman having an all-time battle between them. So maybe it was good to come down from where they were at. So I guess to answer your question, yes, I guess that's one example in which that happened.
Yeah, I get you. I just feel like it was a little too early in this series for this to happen.
I feel if something like this were to occur, it should have happened in season 2, and it should have been somewhere in the middle. But for just coming back and getting it on the 4th episode, dude, it just feels like a slap in the face, man. It fucking hurts.
Yeah, it really does. But hey, like we said, we're gonna finish this series to see where it goes. Hopefully, there's no more instances of this happening. Hopefully, this was a kind of a one and done deal, and this is they got it out of their system with this little bullshit filler episode, and then now, cool, we can move on to back to the hard hitting storylines that have been encapsulating the first 3 episodes. But we'll see. Anyways, did you have something?
Man, you know what? I've never actually watched the full intro for the new intro. But I watched it today. I watched it today, and there were scenes that I don't know if I saw in the first episode. Because Xavier is standing with the Shi'ar people, so he's obviously alive.
Yeah,
but there was other little bits and pieces that were not in these episodes, but I'm imagining
maybe will happen in the future.
Yeah. And I'm like, fuck, man. I kind of spoiled myself a little bit because I know Xavier's going to come back. I just don't know when. Yeah,
I hate when they do that. They shouldn't do that. You shouldn't show shit that's about to happen in the future in the fucking intro, because then it's like it makes this all. We know the outcome essentially. Well, we know he's coming back. So this whole drama with Magneto, like, who knows? Maybe he never comes back. Maybe he's not dead, but maybe he just never returns. Like, well, now we know we're going to probably see his ass because he was in the intro. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, and I think episode 3, there was a slight change in the intro as well, because they led with Magneto. Because, every character gets their little 3 seconds to get their name flashed up. And then Magneto, he creates the X with his magnetic abilities and shit. Or maybe it was degeneration, as you're just saying, suck it. But yeah, it was cool to see the intro changed up a little bit. And I only saw that by coincidence because I normally skip that fucking thing just to watch the episode, because that adds like an additional 30, or not 30 minutes, but 3 minutes or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
So all in all, I'd say the good outweighed the bad, and I enjoyed episode 3 more than fucking 4.
Yeah, definitely. True story. So anyways, all right. Well, I guess that's it. We mission accomplished. So stay tuned for the next episode, which will be us doing X-Men 97 episodes 5 and 6. And, go to Game Rage Magazine, listen to the new Millennial Frog albums that come out on the 15th. And, you'll hear all the other bullshit right now. So anyways, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Oh, hey there, buddy. It's me, 1930s announcer guy, here to congratulate you on making it through this episode. As our heroes are getting in their jalopies and riding off into the literal sunset, they wanted me to tell you thanks for listening to their radio broadcast, and should you be so kind as to follow them on some fancy schmancy radio station publication called Instagram and TikTok at Game Range Magazine, and on some other thing called Twitter/X at Game Rage Mag. Also, they wanted me to inform you and ask if you could be so kind again as to visit something called a website at www.GameRageMagazine.com. I don't know what that is, buddy, but you should probably go do those things. And, don't forget to tune in next time to the Game Rage Movies and TV radio broadcast.